A few Jehovah's Witnesses have asked me if Franz became a Trinitarian after becoming an ex-Jehovah's Witness like so many other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses do. In a private email he sent to someone that someone sent to me, this is what he had to say. You will find that many of what are called ex-Jehovah's Witness ministries have often simply exchanged their previous beliefs for what is known as orthodoxy. Orthodoxy undoubtedly contains its measure of what is sound, but it also contains elements that are the result of imposition of religious authority, rather than belief clearly set forth in Scripture. It is difficult, for example, to find any reputable reference work that does not acknowledge the post-biblical origin of the Trinity doctrine. I feel that the main problem with the Trinity doctrine is the dogmatism and judgmentalism that customarily accompanies it. That to me is but another evidence of the fragility of its foundation. Were it clearly taught in Scripture, there would be no need for authoritarian imposition of the teaching and heavy pressure to submit to it. So many former witnesses are at a disadvantage when pressured by others to conform to views these have adopted. Dogmatic assertions from sources that claim to base their arguments on knowledge of biblical Greek often awe former witnesses, even as they were previously awed by claims of a similar nature from the Watchtower organization. So many points could be clarified if people were simply to read the same text in a variety of translations. They would then at least see that where translation is concerned, dogmatism is greater evidence of ignorance than of learning. I find this to be the case with many who adopt the Trinity doctrine. And Franz has some similar things to say in his book In Search of Christian Freedom. In a footnote on page 711, and in relation to the meaning of orthodox and dogmatism, he says, "We have seen that orthodox has the basic meaning of right teaching, but has come to stand for teaching bearing the approval of ecclesiastical authority. Similarly, dogma in Greek has the basic meaning of what seems to be right, but has come to stand for a tenet or code of tenets approved by religious authority. Dogmatism stands for positiveness and assertion of opinion, especially when unwarranted or arrogant. If a teaching is clearly taught in Scripture, it warrants our acceptance as right teaching, true doctrine, something we can affirm and hold to with confidence. When such foundation is questionable, however, insistence on the teaching constitutes dogmatism." And he gives some examples in this book also of Trinitarian theologians and scholars who admit that the Trinity is not clearly taught in Scripture, and this is commonplace. I mean, you'll find Trinitarian scholars left and right who admit to that, even though they uphold the Trinity inexplicably. And I think that if ex-Jehovah's Witnesses aren't equipped with their own studious knowledge of Scripture, just like they were prone to be fooled by the Watchtower organization and some of their absurd or unwarranted dogmatisms, they were fooled by the Watchtower with those. We really need to be on guard that we aren't fooled again by unwarranted dogmas of religious institutions and authorities imposed upon our consciences. And you get the same threats from so-called orthodox Christianity that you get from the Watchtower organization. I'm told every day that I'm not Christian, that I'm deceived, that I will not, that I'll be burned alive for an eternity. Of course, you don't get that one from the Watchtower, but you get that one from orthodoxy, for not embracing this unwarranted and speculative dogma that they have inferred and by using what they refer to as building blocks for this doctrine that I think is refuted explicitly by the Lord. I mean, my creed is John 17:3 and Mark 12:28-34, and where Jesus says that someone other than himself was the one God of the Shema, and where he says that someone other than himself was the only true God. And if his words aren't my defense against the claims of religious authorities, then where do I turn? I can only turn to what he has said. And I can't qualify everything that he says to fit some presupposition that men have handed me on a silver platter. Just like I got handed a lot of assertions from the Watchtower, and somehow I managed to read the Bible through that lens that I was handed. I think that Christians do the same thing. They're handed a tradition called the Trinity, and then they proceed to read Scripture through that lens instead of listening to Jesus' words at face value, and therefore their defense against deception is then corroded, just like mine was as a Jehovah's Witness when I allowed the Watchtower to tell me what I should believe. And I guess that's all I'll rant about that. I didn't mean to go on a rant at all. I just wanted to share with those who had asked me, because I've gotten a few PMs, especially here on YouTube, about Ray Franz and what he ended up believing about the Trinity doctrine after exiting the Watchtower organization.